Values and attitudes play an important role in organizational behavior because they are the essential key to understanding individual behavior. They also influence our perceptions and obviously shape our behavior. It is therefore necessary to study these values and attitudes in order to understand human behavior better. Several factors shape the individual's personality, and values and attitudes are supposed to be very important dimensions in shaping individual behavior. The first section in this chapter discusses the importance of values, identifies the type of values, and discusses the nature and dimension of attitudes, types and components, and introduces some work-related attitudes. It also highlights the functions of attitudes and suggests ways and means to change attitudes. Values represent a basic belief that a specific mode of conduct or end state of existence is personally or socially preferable to an opposite or converse mode of conduct or end state of existence. Values embody an element of judgment and represent an individual's idea of what is good or bad, right or wrong. Values possess both the content and intensity characteristics. The content attributes determine a mode of conduct or end state of existence as significant, whereas the intensity attribute speaks of how significant it is. When an individual's values are ranked in terms of their intensity, we arrive at a person's value system. We all have hierarchy, which forms our value system. Values are long-lasting and enduring, and they tend to be more or less stable. We derive our values from our significant others, like parents, teachers, friends, and others, and many of our values are formed early in life. While we were little kids, we were often admonished about certain behavior patterns which were not desirable. For instance, you should always speak the truth. We were also punished for undesirable behavior patterns. For instance, if we hit the neighborhood kid, we were punished. Values form an important aspect of organizational behavior because they essentially lay the foundation for our understanding of attitudes and motivation. When an individual enters an organization, he comes with preconceived idea of what ought to be and what ought not to be. These ideas are all based on values. They come with the connotations of what is right and what is wrong. If you join an organization with the belief that remuneration should be based on performance and not seniority, but you realize that this organization does not believe in this and instead decides remuneration on the basis of seniority and not performance, you will obviously be disappointed, and this will lead to job dissatisfaction. You will stop working hard on the job. Isn't it a fact that you should have had different set of attitudes and behavior had you aligned your values with the organizational values? Thus, values do impact both attitudes and behavior. Milton Rokesh has created the Rokesh Value Survey, also known as RVS. RVS consists of two sets of values, with each set consisting of 18 individual items. One set, which refers to desirable end states of existence, is called terminal values. These are the goals that a person wishes to attain during his or her lifetime. The other set, which refers to preferable mode of behavior or means of attaining the terminal value, is called instrumental values. Let us look at RVS. This RVS continues over the next slide. Here is the rest of the RVS. Today, when the world is a global village, managers will have to be capable of working with people from different cultures. Since values vary across cultures, an understanding of these variations should surely help in explaining and predicting behavior of employees across the globe. Gert Hofstede has analyzed variations among various cultures. He conducted survey among 116,000 IBM employees in 40 countries about their work-related values. He discovered that managers and employees differed on 5 value dimensions of national culture. These are power distances, meaning the degree to which people in a given country accept the power in institution and organization is distributed unequally. Individualism versus collectivism. Quantity of life versus quality of life. Uncertainty avoidance and long-term versus short-term orientation. Different countries rated differently on each of this in the survey conducted by Hofstede. For example, most Asian countries were more collectivist than individualistic. On the other hand, the United States ranked higher on individualism. Despite this, cultural values do change. Attitudes can be simply referred to as an evaluative statement, which may be either favorable or unfavorable regarding people, objects, or events. Attitudes reflect how one feels about something. For instance, if you say, "I like my work," then you are merely expressing your attitude about your work. Attitudes and values are not similar, though they are interrelated. Attitude is often used in describing people and in explaining their behavior. An attitude can be defined as a continuous tendency to feel and behave in a specific way towards some object. For instance, if we say that Shilpa hates working overtime, this means Shilpa has a negative attitude towards overtime. Attitudes being subtle cognitive process, they can be characterized in three ways. The first thing is they tend to continue unless and until something is done to change them. For instance, if Shilpa gets compensatory time off for an overtime assignment, or if she gets paid for overtime, she may change her attitude towards overtime. Secondly, attitudes generally fall anywhere between extremely favorable and extremely unfavorable. Maybe at the moment Shilpa's attitude is moderately unfavorable, but when she is given compensatory off or is given extra payment, her attitude may turn into extremely positive. Thirdly, attitudes are aimed at some object about which the person has some associated feeling, which is sometimes referred to as affect and beliefs. In Shilpa's case, it is overtime. An individual can have several attitudes, but in OB we are only concerned with job-related attitudes. These job-related attitudes explore the positive or negative evaluation the employees possess about aspects of their work environment. There are three very important work-related attitudes: job satisfaction, job involvement, and organizational commitment. Attitudes can be broken down into three components, namely emotional, informational, and behavioral. The emotional component refers to a person's feeling or affect about an object. It may be positive, neutral, or negative. The informational component comprises of the belief and information that the individual has about the object. It does not make any difference even if the information is empirically real or not. The behavioral component comprises of a person's tendency to behave in a particular fashion towards an object. In the past, the situational determinants of attitude received maximum attention. Salonik and Pfeffer observed that social context offered information to the employee to form their emotions or attitudes towards their job. Of late, personality characteristics or dispositions are receiving increasing attention as antecedents of work-related attitudes. In ascertaining the attitudes to job, the dispositions of positive attitude, that is PA, and negative attitude, that is NA, have been found to be significant. A positive affectivity simply means having positive feelings or emotions towards a particular aspect of job. Negative affectivity shows a personality disposition which is inclined to experience negative emotional state. That is, those with high NA are likely to feel nervous, tensed, worried, upset, and distressed. Those with high NA are also likely to experience negative affective status. People with high NA are more likely to have negative attitude towards themselves, others, and the world around them. Those with high PA have an opposite disposition and they possess a sense of well-being. They see themselves as pleasurably and effectively engaged in their work and experience positive attitude. Such states of individual dispositions help in understanding job satisfaction and work-related stress. An understanding of attitude is important because attitude helps people in adapting to their work environment. According to Katz, attitudes serve 4 significant functions in this process. These functions are adjustment functions, ego defensive functions, value expressive functions, and knowledge function. Under adjustment functions, attitude help people in adjusting to their work environment. Under ego defensive function, attitudes not just help employees in adjusting, but also help employees in defending their self-image. Under value expressive functions, attitudes offer people with basis for expressing their values, and under knowledge functions, attitude essentially offers standards and frames of references, which allow people to organize and explain the world around them. Employees' attitudes can definitely be changed, and at times it is in the best interest of the management to try and do it. 2 main barriers prevent from changing their attitude. One can be termed as prior commitment, that is, experience when a person feels committed to a particular course of action and does not want to change it. Another barrier happens because of insufficient information. People at times do not have any reasons to change their attitude. For example, a superior may not like his subordinate's negative attitude, but the subordinate feels quite happy with himself. So, on being asked to change, the subordinate will have a negative attitude. How then do we change attitudes? There are several ways and means of doing it. Some of them include offering new information by using fear, by resolving discrepancy, by peer pressure, and by using the co-opting approach. In OB, we are primarily concerned with the attitudes relating to job satisfaction. Particularly of interest are attitude related to job satisfaction and organizational commitment. While job satisfaction is concerned with the employee's attitude towards their job, organizational commitment focuses on employees' attitude towards their organization. So let us try and understand the meaning of job satisfaction. 4.4.1. What is job satisfaction? Job satisfaction implies an individual's general attitude towards his or her job. A person who has a high level of job satisfaction has a positive attitude towards the job, and one who is not contented with his job has a negative attitude towards it. Often, when one is referring to employee attitude, it is essentially meant job satisfaction. Both these terms are often used interchangeably. Locke gives an all-inclusive definition of job satisfaction as a pleasurable positive emotional state resulting from the appraisal of one's job or job experience. Job satisfaction is thus a consequence of an employee's perception of how well their job gives those things which are thought to be important. Job satisfaction has 3 important aspects. Firstly, job satisfaction is an emotional response to a job situation. So, it cannot be seen. It can only be arrived at. Secondly, job satisfaction is many times determined by how well the result meet or exceed the expectations. For example, if an employee believes that he is working very hard but he does not get necessary rewards, then he is likely to have a negative attitude to his work. On the other hand, a well-treated and well-paid employee will have job satisfaction. Thirdly, job satisfaction refers to several related attitudes. Smith, Kendall and Hewlin have proposed that there are 5 job dimensions that represents the most important characteristic of a job about which people have emotional responses. These are the work itself, pay, promotion opportunities, supervision and co-workers.